Brought to you by War Thunder.
As the Nazis move on Paris, something unexpected happens. A new type of aircraft rises to the sky, seemingly part plane, part bird, and sporting French colours. Flapping its wings and hovering in the air, it fights back the Nazi advance and saves the city of lights from tyranny. This incredible aircraft is called an Ornithopter, and this slice of history is actually more real than you might think. That's right, the amazing science fiction machine of Dune is actually based on a real-world French military aircraft designed to save Paris from the Nazis. And the rabbit hole doesn't stop there, with the likes of even Airbus today designing aircraft with flapping wings to enter the era of biomimicry, with a future of even you perhaps flying on board a giant bird-like craft. In the film Dune, they get around the Titular planet in an aircraft called an Ornithopter. These aircraft are characterized by large flapping wings that oscillate up and down enough to give it lift. Whilst the jets in the film were primarily propulsed by jets, the wings assisted in maintaining altitude as well as maneuvering the vessels through the sandstorms. And when you think about it, this method makes sense. We have fixed wings for gliding on planes, and we have rotating wings for helicopters. Flapping wings is just a third, unutilized method for achieving flight, and something that we see in nature all the time. The advantages of such an aircraft are obvious. It would have efficient vertical takeoff and landing abilities. The flapping wings would also offer potential advantages in maneuverability and energy savings compared with fixed-wing aircraft, and impressive abilities in low to ground environments at slow speeds, the bane of pilots everywhere. This would make the aircraft perfect for military applications such as missions generally done by helicopters or drones, or city-based aircraft that need to navigate dense urban areas. And it's these military applications that it's exactly what the French thought up in the early last century. That's right, we're going way back in time. French engineer René-Louis Réault was always intrigued by the flapping of dragonflies and thought that he had cracked the way to make a human military aircraft. Whilst his first attempts were marred by World War I, the resulting technology advancements led him to create a model prototype. It was successful enough to fly over 100 meters on its own power. The accomplished tests affirm Réault's design feasibility, suggesting the Ornithopter could reach up to speeds of 124 miles per hour or 200 kilometers per hour on a simple 90 horsepower engine. Following these findings, the French military commissioned the construction of a full-scale Ornithopter for wind tunnel testing in April of 1937. And this is what he built. Called the Riot 102T, it would have 4 wings like a dragonfly with 4 separate landing gears. It would carry a pilot and then also have the room for a gunner, observer, or bombing officer, although the weight restrictions would prevent this during any actual tests. The Ornithopter weighed 1,102 pounds empty, but around 1,389 pounds when it was fully loaded, so it was possible to have a crew member and some cargo, or 2 light personnel. The blueprints indicated that the wings had 50 degrees of travel, 40 degrees above the horizontal and 10 degrees below it, powered by a simple 75 horsepower engine behind the wings. It also appears that the standing operation configuration for the wings was to be on different strokes, 1 pair up and 1 pair down, although they had several shafts and could be moved into both the up position for storage. And with this final design, the prototype was ready for its first test flight. Well, in a wind tunnel. Whilst initial tests were great, tragedy would strike on the 12th of April of 1938 when they were in a wind tunnel of 81 miles per hour. The 102T experienced a malfunction. So far during the testing, the wings hadn't been placed exactly on much stress. There was no flexing and it wasn't generating any thrust to actually propel the craft forward. because they weren't going fast enough. So this new test, they were going to ramp up the engine to 4,500 RPM when the materials broke down. One wing folded, causing the other three to quickly follow suit. The whole aircraft lost integrity, with the outer third of all wings bending in the middle, the right wings folding up and the left wings folding down. Now, this came from wear and tear. The aircraft had been operating in the wind tunnel successfully for 3 hours. It seemed that the material science of the time let down the concept. But with war on the horizon with Nazi Germany and a prototype destroyed, needing tons of funds to rebuild and try again, the project was abandoned. Which does make us wonder, what if we had made it with today's technology? Well, Airbus is doing just that, and they have come up with several designs and built even prototypes.
Are there any pilots in the audience? Do you think that you could fly this plane with its flapping wings? Well, another question, what about this one? Or this one? It turns out that you can fly the last two in today's video sponsor, War Thunder. And best yet, you can come and play with me. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and it's available now for free. And I'm going to stop you right now because this game is crazy, with over 2,500 tanks, planes and helicopters and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to the fighter jets and the main battle tanks that we have today. Legit, the tech tree is totally insane and it has so many to get. And they didn't skimp on the details, with every vehicle having everything down to its individual components like engines, fuel tanks and weapons and crew, all susceptible to damage or disabling by enemy fire. As well as a realistic simulation mode when you have to learn to identify enemy aircraft and even manage your own resources. There are around 70 million players online in epic PvP battles, including us, the Found and Explained crew, so why not come online and play with us every weekend so you can help me get revenge on all those aces who keep shooting me down. So play War Thunder for free with me on PC, PlayStation and Xbox by using my link in the pinned comment or the video description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms that includes multiple premium vehicles, an exclusive vehicle decorator, Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of a premium account. It's available for a limited time only, so be quick and click that link.
The first concept is the Airbus Bird of Prey. This concept represents a hybrid electric turbo-propeller aircraft designed for regional air transport, but you'll see it looks just like a bird of prey. Drawing inspiration from bird mechanics, it incorporates a wing and tail structure resembling those of an eagle or a falcon. Notably, it includes individually controlled feathers for active flight controls, although not flapping. The next version would get that right. Taking inspiration from the albatross, known for its ability to lock its wings at the shoulder for enduring flights with minimal fatigue, Airbus's concept craft, the Albatross 1, introduces the semi-aeroelastic hinge wingtips. These wingtips, akin to the Albatross's shoulder unlock mechanism, is adapted to wind gusts for improved flight dynamics. And these semi-aeroelastic hinge wingtips offer numerous advantages over fixed wings. First of all, it negates turbulence effects and makes for a more comfortable flight. It reduces the wing loads on the aircraft and makes them more stable. It enhances the roll rate in comparison to fixed wing tips and prevents tip stall during landing and minimizing drag, leading to significant reductions in fuel consumption and CO2 emissions. That's right folks, this plane is just plain better, pun intended. Airbus even used the wing flapping on the runway before takeoff to improve roll control and navigate a high load during flight. And it wouldn't be a reach until they start to use it to take off vertically into the sky. Kind of. If this tech is so amazing, why don't we have them everywhere? Because you see, it turns out that the science is a little bit harder to get right than it first appears. There are two major problems. The first is how to design a wing mechanism that provides lift and thrust at the same time. An ornithopter necessitates wings proficient in producing both thrust, the propulsion force, and lift, the upward force sustaining flight. These forces must effectively counteract drag and the craft's initial weight. This gets complex when you consider that the lift generated has to be within the limits of the weight, material strength, and the mechanical complexity. You would need a very flexible wing material that has a large surface area on the downstroke, but then retract on the upstroke, thousands of times a minute. Yikes. Even worse, flapping wings increase drag and they're not as efficient as propeller-powered aircraft. And we haven't exactly figured out how to take off vertically with flapping wings. Is it like a bee with massive oscillations, or is it one big flap like a bird? So far, all attempts have been towing it up into the air just to get it up to speed. The second is dealing with the instabilities of wing flapping itself. Both normal aircraft design and rotorcraft are quite stable for the most part, but constantly flapping motion would include significant vortices and air stability issues that would require pretty much an AI to deal with it. Should an ornithopter wing extend fully and engage in a slight twisting and flapping motions, it could result in a stall in the aircraft, whilst extensive twisting and flapping akin to a windmill would lead to inefficient flying conditions. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Lastly, I just want to imagine what the actual flying experience would be like on board. Wouldn't the flapping wings make the aircraft go up and down like a boat? We already have turbulence, and I feel like that would only make the situation worse. Let me know down in the comments if this is true, or if you would even want to fly on board such an aircraft. Now, engineers have been working on this type of aircraft for decades, even over centuries if we include the attempts of human-powered flight. That's right, strapping the wings to a human and letting them flap. The most obvious example, the one that I featured at the start of this video of Rene Riot's dedication to creating this, ended up in a collapsed airframe in a wind tunnel. But it wasn't the end of the project because, you guessed it, the Nazis tried to come up with one next. In 1929, Alexander Lippisch, the designer of the Messerschmitt Me 163 Comet, you can tell I struggled on that line a few times, created a man-powered ornithopter that flew 250 to 300 meters after a tow launch. Some doubted its independent flight capability due to the tow launch method, but he argued that he had sustained flight. Unfortunately, he never got around to recording it and soon moved on to other types of aircraft. Adalbert Schmid achieved a longer flight of 900 meters in 1942 with a human-powered ornithopter. Then he ended up adding a 3-horsepower motorcycle engine, enabling flights of up to 15 minutes. He would then develop a 10-horsepower version in 1947, basing it on a sailplane, featuring flapping outer wing panels. More recently, however, a team at the University of Toronto for Aerospace Studies dedicated years to develop a engine-powered, piloted ornithopter. In July of 2006, the UTAS Ornithopter No. 1 achieved a 14-second flight with a jet-assisted takeoff. The professor stated that whilst the jet was critical for sustained flight, the flapping wings were the primary powering of the aircraft. It seems that whilst the technique is obviously there in nature, applying it in full, not just for small parts, to a human aircraft is remaining quite elusive. Until we reach that point and get to the stars, we might have to just use the magic of science fiction films to show these insane-looking aircraft in flight. Special thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget we're going to have a play this weekend. I've got a link down in the description with all of these rewards that you can see here on screen. So make sure you click that link and sign up, and I'll see you in the game. Thanks so much for watching today, guys, and you can probably tell I've got quite the cold. So I really wanted to get this out, at the same time as the Dune film, and I really appreciate that you guys took the time to put up with this little bit stranger version of Found and Explained. I can't wait to see you in the next video. And look, if you're watching this and can't get enough of Found and Explained, well, I've got 2 great options for you. We've got a Patreon where we post videos early, and we also do behind the scenes talks about our videos. And then we also have a merch store where you can jump on, you can buy posters, and check out all the other cool stuff we have there. Now, of course, I'm not asking for any sort of donations or anything like that, but every little bit helps to keep making these videos. So thank you again so much for all those people that support me here on the channel.